Hey guys, it's Haley and welcome to another bookish video. Today I'm going to be getting into my top 12 spiciest books I've ever read. And these are not going to only be the spiciest books, but they're also going to be the best spicy books that I've ever read. So out of the best romances I've ever read, these are the top 12 spiciest. I also want to share with you some of these spicy books on my TBR to get y'all's recommendations on what I should prioritize, what you might want to see in a vlog. I've been really loving getting into dark romance lately, as you can tell by my last dark romance vlog. And if you're a part of my Patreon, we have more dark romance going on over there. So I'm just eating it up and I would love to hear from y'all what I should prioritize. But before we get into the books, I do want to thank the sponsor of today's video, which is Dossier. Y'all know I absolutely love Dossier. They have iconic scents for an affordable price, but it is the same exact quality as a designer fragrance. So here I have Ambery Cherry. This smells exactly like Lost Cherry by Tom Ford. Oh my god, it is incredible. And it is about a quarter of the price, if that. It's kind of shocking to go repurchase a perfume in Sephora and realize how much you're paying, like between $100 and $200. I don't just want to drop money like that on perfume, especially if I can get the same thing from Dossier for literally $29, $39. And a lot of the times they have sales and it gets down to $19 or even less. This one that I have from Dossier is Woody Chestnut, and it is inspired by Replicas by the Fireside. I absolutely love replica scents. I feel like they're just so like clean girl aesthetic, and this one is perfect for winter. It's so musky and warm, and I love like a more gender neutral scent. I mean, as if scents are gendered, but the replica ones are so good for capturing that kind of vibe. I always get so many compliments when I wear Dossier, and people cannot believe the price point when they ask me about it. They last so long on my skin and my clothes, and I have really sensitive skin and I never have any issues with breaking out or having rashes with their scents. So if you want to try out Dossier and get an iconic scent for a fraction of the price, of course I will link them down below. And thank you so much to Dossier for sponsoring this video. So let's get into my top 12 spicy book recommendations. We're going to start out with a basic one, and that is Punk 57 by Penelope Douglas. The tension building in this book is just so good. Our two love interests actually start out as pen pals, which obviously, since they're not in person, it builds a ton of tension, and when they finally do meet up, oh, it's spicy. And if you've ever read from Penelope Douglas, then you know it's gonna be spicy. Basically, these two pen pals go to school together, but they're unaware of each other's identity until a little bit into the book. We have this like snobby kind of cheerleader girl, popular girl energy, and then kind of like a burnout, brooding emo music guy. It's kind of like popular girl loser trope. And it was actually recommended to me when I was in a deep hole down AO3 of Eddie Munson one-shots, and I couldn't bring myself to read any books, but this one got me out of that slump because it was just similar enough that I was like, okay, yeah, I'm feeling the fan fiction vibes, but it also was like a genuinely cute romance. I loved it. Next up, let's go ahead and talk about my current obsession, which is the Witsec series by Ashley N. Rostek. If you have not heard me rave about this series, what are you doing? First of all, it's obvious you did not watch my dark romance reading vlog where I read Find Me and gave it 5 stars, but the obsession just continued to grow as I read every other book, and the full vlog for the entire series will be out on Patreon this coming month, this March. I'm so excited. I went to edit it and it was literally 2 hours of footage. Half of it was just me like reading and gasping and like clutching my pearls because I could not believe what I was reading. Not only is this a dark romance that is spicy to all get out, it's also an amazing slow burn romance, and it has a phenomenal thriller plot that I truly believe can stand on its own. In the first book, Find Me, we are following our main character Shiloh, who a year ago dealt with a stalker situation, and this guy actually ended up breaking into her house and murdering her entire family. It's a year out. She is in this program called WITSEC, which basically hides her identity and gives her a new life, but she's still kind of on the run and definitely still recovering from the trauma of it. When she moves into a new house, she's trying to recover, and the people that might help her do that are her next door neighbors, which are 4 brothers. Yes, this is a reverse harem romance. It is dark, it is twisted, and by twisted, I mean like the darkness of the romance of it all, but also the twistiness of this thriller plot. Every one of these 4 books ends off on the craziest cliffhanger you will ever read, and it makes you want to compulsively get through the next one. Like, I haven't felt like this reading a series since I read the Mindfuck series. Y'all have to get on the WITSEC series. It is so good. And because it is a reverse harem, if you like one girl, multiple guy smut scenes, you're going to actually die for this book. The first part of this series, Find Me, is pretty tame, but it is just the biggest slow burn because by book 3, we've got like a lot. I mean, we'll just say it's called book 3 for a reason. Next up, we have The Dare by Harley LaRue. I love this book. It is so short. I think I read it in like less than an hour. It's really easy to get through, and it is kind of the same trope of the first book that I talked about, Punk 57, where it's like popular girl loser guy. So basically it's post high school and they're having this college party. This kind of losery guy was never noticed by this popular like cheerleader girl, and they've always had like a sexual tension, but they just like weren't running in the same crowd, you know? They like have this bet at this party, and she ends up having to like serve him for the night. If you like a dom sub dynamic with like a loser boy coming up and like getting revenge on like his low-key bully, but like in the hottest way possible, this is for you. It goes a little crazy. Like, there are definitely some parts of this book where it was so fetishy and odd. Like, I'm not trying to yuck anybody's yum, but it was not for me, and it lost me a little bit. But it's definitely one of the most fun smut experiences I've had, and I still think about it to this day. It was wild. I need to read more Harley LaRue. Next up, if you're looking for more of a rom-com and less of a dark romance that still brings the smut, I would definitely recommend the Brown Sisters trilogy by Talia Hibbert. This one is the first one, Get a Life, Chloe Brown. Then we have Take a Hint, Danny Brown, and then Act Your Age, Eve Brown. I would say the last book has the most smut. It is the spiciest, but the first one is my favorite. And I know that that's an unpopular opinion. Not a lot of people love Chloe. I just love in this book the chronic illness representation and the like bad boy love interest. This one is also like enemies to lovers. The second book is like a fake dating trope based on a viral video. And the last book is kind of adorable. It's like bad first impression to lovers, but definitely not like enemies in any way. And the youngest sister is so sweet as well. The middle sister is a bisexual woman, so that is wonderful bi representation. We love to see it. Overall, the representation for mental health, sexualities, neurodivergence, chronic illness, like the representations in these books are so good, and they are genuinely wonderful romances. I don't get bored of these rom-coms because they actually feel like they have some emotion to them. And on top of that, I love the way that Talia Hibbert writes smut. I think it is so hot. She does spicy scenes so well. The scene in the park in this book, I don't know, like to this day, I don't know if a spicy scene has affected me the way that that scene affected me. Okay, next let's talk about something stupid. We just had something like so real, so emotional, so cute. Now let's talk about Ice Planet Barbarians by Ruby Dixon. This is just a stupid, brainless, head empty fun time, okay? This is about a human woman who is kidnapped and taken to a space alien planet, and she meets this guy who is instantly obsessed with her, and he's like this big blue alien with a barbed member. Can I say that on YouTube? Anyway, it is just a ton of fun, okay? There's nothing to think about or take away from these books other than like ridiculous, spicy, good times. So do with that what you will. I'm on the second book in the series and I'm gonna continue. I love picking these up whenever I just need something absolutely brainless and fun. Next up, let's talk about 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. This one is another one that has that emotional component. Genuinely, the connection between these characters is so strong, and I think a lot of the spicy scenes in this book are just heightened by the emotional connection that our two main characters have for each other. They met for a week when they were in high school, the 7 Days in June that were like this whirlwind romance, and then they lost touch and end up reconnecting 10 years later at a literary conference because they both end up being writers. Our main female character is a single mom who writes spicy romance books, and she has this cult following. It is so cute. And then her man is like this lit, thick, like deep writer. Oh my god, their dynamic is so hot, but it also made me cry. And this book got me out of a slump. It's not just spicy. Like, yes, it belongs in this video because the spicy scenes are amazing, but it is so much more than that. I loved it. It was one of my best books of last year, not just like best romances, best books, period. Next up, let's talk about Neon Gods by Katie Robert. This is the first book in the Dark Olympus series. I've read almost every book that's out in that series right now. I think I've read the first 5, and this one, the first one, was definitely my favorite. It's a Hades and Persephone retelling in an urban fantasy world where the Olympus city kind of like floats above the continental US, and we're following the gods as they engage with like all of these social and political dynamics. And Hades and Persephone's, this is definitely, I don't know if this is the spiciest book in the series, because this whole series, if you're looking for a spicy romance, this will do it for you. Some of the later books I think are a little bit cringe. I will be talking about that in my wrap up because I read a couple of them this past month. But the first one is just unmatched in terms of the characters. Okay, if you like a brooding emo boy, Hades is gonna be for you. And the way he like completely takes charge of Persephone, and Persephone is like this independent, strong-willed woman, but she can like let herself go and be more submissive with Hades. Oh my god, it's so amazing. Highly recommend. Next up, we gotta talk about my girl, Tessa Bailey. I love Tessa Bailey's books. I've read a lot of them, a lot of her ones that came out like a couple years ago. The favorites for me are It Happened One Summer and Hook, Line, and Sinker. This duology with the Bellinger sisters, I think that's what their last name is. I think it is the best of anything that I've read from her. It Happened One Summer is one of my favorite books of all time. I don't have it here with me because unfortunately I lent it to someone who then no longer wanted to be my friend, but she wouldn't text me back, so she took my book with her. Yeah, that was a little tragic for me, but I do have the sequel here, Hook, Line, and Sinker, and I absolutely love both of them. They are like these prissy LA girls who move to this little tiny fisher town to get in touch with their roots because that's where their dad met their mom, and their dad is unfortunately no longer with us, so they're like grappling with that. Again, these are really good emotional rom-coms that don't feel heavy but also have a ton of spicy scenes. I would say the first one was way spicier than the second one. I like both relationships equally. I like the spicy scenes in the first one a little bit more just because I like that dynamic a little bit more. The first one is like enemies to lovers, light enemies to lovers. They just like get off on the wrong foot to lovers. And then this one is friends to lovers. Next up, let's talk about something else that's just completely ridiculous, and that is Scream for Us, okay? I went through a masked man phase. I was gonna say phase, but like, it's really just like enduring, especially now that I'm in my Rory Culkin era and like the ghost face of it all. Can I put this on the internet? I'm going to. Here's the thing. If you get ghost face edits on your FYP, like Scream for Us is for you. Because it's about a girl who at a Halloween party is seduced by 3 masked men. Jason, Michael Myers, and Ghostface all just come at her, and they all 4 have like a really good time together. Again, reverse harem. They also go on this little like murder mystery side plot revenge situation. That's kind of weird. That was kind of where it lost me, but it was so much fun. I read it on live with a couple of my friends during Halloween, and it was phenomenal. Like, it was a top tier time, even though, you know, this isn't like my top book of all time. The experience of it all with my friends, reading about masked men, like what could be better? Next up, we've got to talk about my favorite dark romances ever written on this planet Earth. On this planet Earth. Oh my god. There Are No Saints, and then the follow-up, There's No Devil by Sophie Lark. I've forced everyone in my life to read these books because they are so good. Okay, they are serial killer romances. Blink, blink, blink. Yeah. These 2 artists are in this competition and they like compete to like one-up each other on their little art projects. It's an art project. The public knows that, but the public does not know that behind the scenes, they're also both vicious serial killers who are competing to kill people. So one of them, he's kind of like a Dexter type, like he takes out only the bad people that deserve to be killed, and that's our love interest. And then the other guy is just like abhorrent, horrible, kills women because he has mommy issues, very typical. And he ends up trying to kill this woman, and then the other guy comes across her and is like, you're gonna be my little like protege. She gets involved with the serial killer and ends up like helping him kill, and they're just like this little killing duo. And then he's also like training her up in the bedroom, and there is some crazy stuff that goes on in here. Okay, this is 50 Shades of Grey, but make it a serial killer romance. And here's the thing about these books, they're so ridiculous. If you read dark romance, then you know these are so unserious. Nobody's hearing serial killer romance and thinking, oh, this is gonna have amazing representation for like the healthiest relationship dynamic. No. Okay, no, you have to know going into this that you're getting a dom sub dynamic between 2 serial killers, and it's hot and it's fun and it can help you explore like another side of yourself. But please don't take this as like relationship advice. Like, I don't know who is trying to take advice for how a man should treat you when he's literally a serial killer, but if you are, I don't know, maybe grow up a little. I don't know. I've just seen some hate for this duology, and people are like talking about the representation, and of course he's a misogynist, he's a killer, of course he's a bad person, he's a killer. Like, I'm a little concerned for people sometimes, but if you have critical thought in your brain and you also want to read like some of the spiciest and some of my favorite scenes that I've ever read with like an amazing playlist, yeah, this duology also has a playlist that goes along with it, and it sets the vibe and it's phenomenal. I love it. Again, this is one where the thriller plot could stand on its own. So if you like romance, you like thrillers, and you like spice, and you're an unserious, delusional girl, this is for you. And the girls that get it. You know, the girls that get it. Next up, I want to talk about specifically the score by Elle Kennedy. Oh my god, y'all. Okay, so I read, what is this called? Off Campus? Yeah, I read this Off Campus series. Honestly, a lot of it was not for me. I don't love sports romance. I don't love college romance, but this is the 3rd book. We're following Dean, who's like the like playboy in this like hockey friend group. And this was the one book that I was like, okay. I get it. I get the L. Kennedy obsession. I get the off-campus series. I get the hockey boy obsession. I actually dated a hockey player, so it was a little triggering for me. I'm not gonna lie. I was reliving some things and I was like, oh my God, just let me die now. But Dean's character was adorable. Like, he has some complex things that he's going through and he kind of copes with them with physical interactions. So you get a lot of those scenes in here. I would definitely say this is the spiciest book in the off-campus series, and to me it's like the one worth reading. I feel like they all go really fast and they're so like candy, like popcorn, like you can just read them really quickly, but I thought a lot of the other ones in the series were honestly cringe. This is the only one that I would go back and reread, simply because I'm a Dean girl. And the last book that I'm going to talk about in my top 12 spicy romances is Beach Read by Emily Henry. I know this is like so basic. This one just has a special place in my heart because it is the first spicy romance that I ever read. Like, I had read rom-coms before, but I had never read like a smut scene until I got to Beach Read, and I was blown away. Okay, the tension building in here is so phenomenal. If somehow you haven't heard about the dynamic in this book or the plot for this book, I will give you a brief synopsis. We are following two grad school rivals who are trying to write their respective books in their respective genres. Our main female character writes romance, our main male character writes literary fiction, and they're staying in neighboring beach houses. They did not plan that, it just kind of happens that way. So they end up challenging each other to write in each other's respective genre because they're both in like a period of writer's block, and they end up going on these little excursions together, and there's so much tension building. This is so slow burn, but in that camping scene when everything pops off, oh my God. This is kind of reminding me of 7 Days in June. I felt like a similar thing where the spice was just heightened and made so much better by the slow burn emotional connection. Loved it so much. Still a favorite of all time. So those are my top 12 spicy romance recommendations, but I also have a little stack here of books that I've heard from the internet are like really spicy and they are on my TBR, and I want y'all to tell me what I should prioritize, what you would want to see in a vlog, or just like your general thoughts on these books. If you hate any of these with a visceral passion, let me know and I won't be prioritizing them, that's for sure. The first one I have here is A Touch of Darkness by Scarlett St. Clair, and this is another Hades and Persephone kind of like dark romance retelling. I've heard it's like so smutty and fun. I also have From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and this is more romantic-y, but I trust Amanda from Ginger Snap Reads recommendations like my life rests in her hands. Y'all, she is the one who originally recommended me There Are No Saints and Find Me. So I'm like, does she know my taste or does she know my taste? And this is one of her favorite books, so I got it and I really want to read it. I'm scared about the fantasy elements. Like, obviously I feel like I'm pretty well versed in fantasy at this point, but if it's smut, like just give me the smut. Like, why do we need to be fucking around with some war? You know what I mean? I also have Haunting and Hunting Adeline. These are stalker dark romances, and again, people have like major issues with these books. I've seen rant reviews on these books where people are like, how can people read this? It's horrible. Women shouldn't be treated this way. And it's like, yeah, no fucking shit. Nobody wants to be in a relationship with a stalker or a killer, okay? In real life, I would be calling the police and sending him to jail. But like in a smutty little unserious fun time book, I feel like it would be so much fun, right? Like, shouldn't I read these? I'm just looking for validation here because I really want to read them. I also have Icebreaker by Hannah Grace, which just seems like hee hee ha ha animated cover, but apparently is like crazy on the inside. Hockey, ice skater, romance, college romance. I don't know if it's gonna be my thing, but the girls are freaking out over it, so I might just have to do it. And then the last one I have is I fear kind of controversial. Some people have very strong opinions against this book, but some people absolutely love it, and that is Den of Vipers by K.A. Knight. Okay, I have it, so I'm probably gonna read it. It's like 600 pages, but apparently It's just insane. And apparently it's reverse harem. You know, they own me now. This girl, she bites too. I'm ready to meet the Vipers. You know, Ryder, Garrett, Kenzo, and Diesel. Okay, those are giving Colleen Hoover names, but I'm down, okay? Initially, I'm down. I love a reverse harem, if you can't tell. So those are the spiciest books that I recommend and the spiciest books on my TBR. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you got a couple recommendations, and let me know down below what you would want to see from me. Don't forget to like this video if you liked it, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Don't forget to go to therapy and read a book this week, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye!